Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.
And away we go, episode 1220 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Wednesday, December 17th, 2025. It is the day after the Washington Commanders QB1 Jayden Daniels spoke to reporters for the first time since head coach Dan Quinn during his day after the game press conference on Monday afternoon announced that the team is shutting down Daniels for the rest of the season. This was perhaps Daniels' final session with reporters of the season. We'll see, but we know that he's not exactly a big fan of these sessions with reporters. And with him being shut down, this may have been the final time that we hear from Daniels until after the season. But he came off well, and if you watch video of the session, he, for a good portion of the session, had a smile on his face. He seemed to be in good spirits. It was good to see that. We should all be in good spirits. So this is the holiday season, even though, yes, this also is a debacle of a Commanders season. Hello and welcome to this Wednesday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. Next segment, fallout from the shutdown. Discussion of comments from Jayden Daniels during his post-practice session with reporters on Tuesday afternoon, and discussion of comments from Dan Quinn during his pre-practice press conference on Tuesday afternoon. Quinn multiple times made it a point to say that Daniels isn't medically cleared but wants to play. I have some thoughts on why Quinn did that. And in the following segment, more on the Commanders, including a breakdown of their initial injury report for their game against the Philadelphia Eagles at Northwest Stadium this Saturday evening at 5. Reaction to the Commanders placing receiver Noah Brown on the reserve/injured list for the third time over his 2 seasons with the team. And conversation on Dan Quinn-head-coached teams not quitting on him. And also on the show, I'll talk Washington Capitals. They on Tuesday night got ripped at the Minnesota Wild 5-0. Before we get to some feedback, we have the first major league free agent acquisition by the Washington Nationals with Paul Taboni as president of baseball operations. Reports on Tuesday afternoon that the Nats are signing pitcher Foster Griffin, a 1-year contract worth $5.5 million. So the 2026 season will be Griffin's age 30 season. He was taken by the Kansas City Royals with the number 28 overall pick in the 2014 MLB first-year player draft out of the First Academy in Orlando, Florida. Was released by the Toronto Blue Jays in November 2022, but was rejuvenated by pitching in Japan. Foster Griffin, over the 2023 through 2025 seasons, pitched for the Yomiuri Giants of Nippon Professional Baseball, which is Japan's version of MLB. And he, for the Yomiuri Giants, in working as a starting pitcher, had an ERA at 2.57 and a whip of 1.033 over 315 and 2/3 innings over 3 regular seasons. He would seem to be a candidate for the Nats starting rotation. Also, some college football, a Goldilocks pick for you. We have Old Dominion versus South Florida in the Staff DNA Cure Bowl at Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida on Wednesday evening at 5. This game could have been a battle of 2 of the best quarterbacks in the FBS, and ODU's Colton Joseph versus South Florida's Byram Brown, but each guy has opted out of this game. Joseph on December 9th announced that he had decided to enter the NCAA transfer portal. Brown has opted out of the game as he decides whether he'll declare for the 2026 NFL draft, enter the NCAA transfer portal, or stay at South Florida. These non-college football playoff bowl games have so become glorified exhibition games. There's no doubt about that. ODU's starting quarterback will be Quinn-head-coached. The consensus line for this game per Action Network as of early Wednesday morning was ODU plus 2.5. Give me South Florida. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Feedback on the Commanders off the 29-21 win at the New York Giants on Sunday afternoon, and off them shutting down Jayden Daniels for the rest of the season, including my assertion that Daniels' overall track record is one of durability. He over 5 seasons as a collegiate QB1 played in 55 of a possible 57 games. He last season played in all 20 of the Commanders' regular season and postseason games. Now, Daniels in this regular season will end up having played in just 7 of the Commanders' 17 games, but his overall track record is one of durability. From Bleeding Burgundy and Gold on X writes Bleeding Burgundy and Gold. Al gets it. Thank you for that, Bleeding Burgundy and Gold. From Tony on X, writes Tony, this season was so injury-riddled. I'm 49, and I've been a diehard here since the 80s. I've never seen anything close to this. If it's not all an anomaly, not just Jayden, we're in trouble. I'm sure next season, Jayden and the team will be fine. Thank you for that, Tony. From Joey Betts on X, writes Joey, every player who ever played the sport of football got hurt. This is just a throwaway season. Surround Jayden with actual talent and get him an average/above average defense and watch him work. Thank you for that, Joey. From Billy Bob on X, writes Billy Bob, Jayden will learn from his mistakes this season. Thank you for that, Billy Bob. There's no doubt that Jayden Daniels and the Commanders as a team need to figure out the right balance of taking advantage of his elite running ability while lessening the contact that he takes. This is a tricky balance, but this is a balance that needs to be struck. He cannot keep taking all of the contact that he's taking. From Brent Parrish on X, writes Brent, the hits in the NFL are a lot harder than in college. Plus, he played last season, but he was injured, and the rib injury affected his play for several games, so he can't say he wasn't also injured last season. Thank you for that, Brent. From Tony on X, writes Tony, Jayden shut down. Now feed him weight gainer, weights, and a little HGH. Thank you for that, Tony. From Sean Ricks on X, writes Sean, Operation Lose Out 2.0. Thank you for that, Sean. That is all that needed to be said. Email from Kareem, writes Kareem. Hi, Al. It had been a while since I messaged you, but I have some thoughts on the Jayden Daniels shutdown gate. Do you think that the leadership saw Mahomes and Parsons go down with ACL injuries hours apart and decided enough is enough? If I owned an NFL team and had a valuable asset like JD5, seeing what happened to Mahomes and Parsons would give me pause. Do we really think that 2 or 3 games are going to make or break JD5's future? Imagine if he plays and tears an ACL. How long did it take for Cosme to come back? So everyone chill. This season is done. Enjoy the playoffs and root against the Eagles. Thanks, and keep up the great work. Thank you for the email, Kareem. I brought this up on Tuesday's show, episode 1219. You should not go through life scared, but I do think that especially what happened with Patrick Mahomes may have played a role in the Commanders' decision to shut down Jayden Daniels for the rest of the season. Players at other positions suffer torn ACLs all of the time. Heck, Commanders tight end Zach Ertz, he just suffered a torn right ACL in their 31-0 loss at the Minnesota Vikings on December 7th. But a franchise quarterback suffering a torn ACL or a serious injury of any kind is devastating for a team on the highest levels. I don't think that Mahomes suffering a torn left ACL in the Kansas City Chiefs' 16-13 home loss to the Los Angeles Chargers this past Sunday afternoon was like the determining factor in the Commanders shutting down Daniels, but this was, shall we say, another brick in the wall, especially considering that they're with the Commanders is this feeling, if not reality, that this season, anything that can go wrong does go wrong. Like, this just is not our team season. More clear that could not be. Email from Rick Proctor, writes Rick, Al Olo took a bullet on Sunday. The news that Jayden is shut down is the precursor to the surgery he really needs, but not revealed by management. Number 8 now, shooting for number 5 in the draft. Kind of hard when 3 teams only have 2 wins. But like Coach Marty said, there's a gleam, men. There's a gleam. Thank you for the email, Rick. Well, Olo on Sunday afternoon took a hit with the win at the Giants, but Olo on Monday afternoon was rejuvenated via the announcement that the Commanders are shutting down Jayden Daniels for the rest of the season. There are a bunch of teams bunched in tight regarding the top 10 picks in the 2026 NFL Draft. The Commanders right now have the number 8 overall pick in the draft. Each of the teams occupying spots 1 through 9 in the draft has no more than 4 wins. Each of the teams occupying spots 1 through 6 in the draft has no more than 3 wins. So the Commanders getting a top 5 pick isn't going to be easy. That win at the Giants this past Sunday afternoon was costly. And yes, Marty Schottenheimer, who served as the Redskins head coach and director of football operations for the 2001 season, forever immortalized by the NFL Films clip of him as Cleveland Browns head coach saying, "There's a gleam, men. There's a gleam."
There's a gleam, men. There's a gleam. Let's get the gleam, all right? Let's go.
Yes, there is a gleam. Cash App. It is the best way to make sure that your financial transactions are safe. You this holiday season can stay one step ahead of scams and keep your money secure with Cash App. Cash App's 24/7 fraud monitoring helps detect and alert you for unusual card activity should someone gain access to your card, so you can act fast if something seems off. You also can lock or unlock your Cash App card instantly right in the app for extra control and peace of mind. And if you're about to send money to someone for a deal that's too good to be true, and Cash App flags the deal as a potential scam, Cash App will warn you before you send the money. Cash App is here for you, and for a limited time only, new Cash App customers can use Cash App's exclusive code to earn some additional cash for real. Just download Cash App, use the exclusive referral code SECURE10 in your profile, send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partner or partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures.
Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.
Hey, if you're listening to this podcast via Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can rate the podcast with a star rating. 5-star ratings are greatly appreciated. They help us out a lot. Thank you for doing them. We have the 4-10 Washington Commanders versus the 9-5 Philadelphia Eagles at Northwest Stadium this Saturday evening at 5 in Week 16 of the NFL's 2025 regular season. We are in the midst of the first of 2 consecutive short weeks for the Commanders, who are going to end up playing 3 games over just 12 days. The 29-21 win at the New York Giants this past Sunday afternoon, December 14th, to snap the 8-game losing streak. This game against the Philadelphia Eagles at Northwest Stadium this Saturday evening, December 20th at 5, and the game against the Dallas Cowboys at Northwest Stadium on Thursday afternoon, December 25th, Christmas at 1. 3 games over just 12 days. Now, the condensed schedule is part of why the Commanders are shutting down quarterback Jayden Daniels for the season, as was announced by head coach Dan Quinn during his day after the game press conference on Monday afternoon. And the condensed schedule meant that the Commanders on Tuesday began their practice week for this home game against the Eagles. Dan Quinn on Tuesday afternoon did a pre-practice press conference, and he, during the presser, made it a point to reiterate that Jayden Daniels has not been medically cleared to play. Now, Quinn made that point during his press conference on Monday afternoon, but Quinn on Tuesday afternoon clearly wanted us to know that Daniels has not been medically cleared to play. This seemed to be Dan Quinn communicating that the team isn't tapping out on the season, that the shutdown of Jayden Daniels is based on him not being medically cleared to play given the condition of his left elbow. But it was interesting that Quinn wanted to make sure that we knew this. So we on Tuesday afternoon had this back and forth between Commanders insider John Keim of ESPN and Dan Quinn.
Surprisingly, I'm going to stick with Jayden. How I know that you're still in the middle. You still have 3 games left. His season's now over. How would you assess his season?
Yeah, I'll give you a better sense after, once I'm going to go through everything. Obviously, there's not enough information, me give you a full report on things. There's things that we want to work on here over the next 3 weeks, so that'll be a lot of things outside the pocket, John. But as an overall assessment, like, we've all missed the mark. We've all missed the mark. And so there'll be a number of things that all of us, we're going to go through a full process to, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to fix it, this is where we're going to go at him, at coaching, at everything. So I'll give you a better sense, once I have more time to go through everything.
And then with the practice, what is the plan? Like, what things will he be working on in practice? How do you go about that to, again, others are preparing for games, you want to prepare them for other things. Like, What is the plan for him in practice? What kind of things will you be doing?
Well, there'll be some out-of-the-pocket things or some progression things that he'll go through. He'll work some of the scout cards on concepts that we have. So it'll be a little bit of a mix. Today's not quite as much. We're not going as fast. But even then, there's some post-practice work that he'll do too, John. So we felt like we got these 3 weeks. Can we get, very customized and specific of things outside the pocket first? And once we do that, then we thought that's how we'll, see how we can take best advantage of this. And I'll remind everybody, he wasn't cleared to play, and I think that's important, part of this, to know that he's wanting to. And so we're not there, and so this was the right call, even though it was a difficult one.
Okay, so Dan Quinn, toward the end of his second answer there, unsolicited, reminding us that Jayden Daniels has not been medically cleared to play. Let's go to later in the press conference. We had this exchange between Commanders insider Tashawn Reed of the Washington Post and Dan Quinn.
Dan, with obviously there's a big picture equation with sitting Jayden for the rest of the year. When you have 3 games left and the rest of the locker room is obviously still out there if they're healthy, how do you manage that as a coach of making sure guys don't kind of check out of those games even if the quarterback isn't playing?
Well, he's not cleared to play first, so I think I don't want to lose that, and I'm not trying to say one thing or another, but this is a player that wants to play, and so I want to start just by that first, and then after that I don't have and I have not had a sense of that with our team whatsoever. So I love this group. I love what they stand for. After the game, I told him, man, I don't want to go through something like this, but if I had to, these are the type of men I'd want to go through something really hard with, because the last 2 months for us as a team, as players and coaches, we've been as challenged as we've ever been. So they play for one another. It's not for one person. And so I think that's an important thing to remember, when we're talking about an entire team sport, and there's so many things for us to play for and play really hard. We're right here in the division, and we play, these 17 are all we're guaranteed. So it's not like, some of our other professional sports where they get to play a lot more. It's really important.
Okay, but Dan Quinn, again, saying that Jayden Daniels has not been medically cleared to play, that he wants to play. I have no interest in the Commanders winning any of their final 3 games this season. The team shutting down Jayden Daniels for the rest of the season has nailed the coffin shut on me having any interest in our team winning any of its final 3 games this season. I want to see the Commanders in these games do some good things and play hard. I don't want the team to quit on Dan Quinn, but my preferred outcome for each of these 3 games is loss, for the purpose of the team getting as high of a first-round pick in the 2026 NFL Draft as possible, for the purpose of Operation Loseout 2.0. Dan Quinn, though, wants to win each of the Commanders' final 3 games this season. He's the head coach. He should want that. I get him wanting that. I respect him wanting that. And so he doesn't want the team thinking that the team is tapping out on the season, and so he's making it a point for all of us to know that the team is shutting down Jayden Daniels because he isn't medically cleared, and that Daniels wants to play. What would be fascinating to know is this. If Jayden Daniels was medically cleared, would the team be shutting him down, or would he be playing against the Eagles this Saturday evening? That would be the ultimate test of how much him not being medically cleared is behind him being shut down. Here's another thing that would be fascinating to know. Deep down inside, does managing partner Josh Harris truly want the Commanders to win each of their final 3 games this season? Or is he like me and many of you and on board with Operation Loseout 2.0? Never forget this about Josh Harris. He is co-managing partner of the Philadelphia 76ers, greenlit the process. Harris's 76ers from May 2013 to April 2016 had Sam Hinkie as their president of basketball operations and general manager, embracing the process, a tanking strategy in which the Sixers embraced analytics. Don't you think that it's possible, if not probable, that Josh Harris, who has 76ers co-managing partner greenlit the process, is on board with Operation Loseout 2.0? I mean, come on. But back to Jayden Daniels. He on Tuesday afternoon did a post-practice session with reporters. Daniels missed 2 games due to a left knee injury that he suffered in the Commanders' 27-18 loss at the Green Bay Packers on Thursday Night Football on September 11th. Daniels missed 1 game caused by a right hamstring injury that he suffered in the Commanders' 44-22 loss at the Dallas Cowboys on October 19th. Daniels missed 3 games caused by a dislocated left elbow that he suffered in the Commanders' 38-14 loss to the Seattle Seahawks at Northwest Stadium on Sunday Night Football on November 2nd. And Daniels re-injured the left elbow in the Commanders' 31-0 loss at the Minnesota Vikings on December 7th, though he suffered no structural damage. This was Jayden Daniels on being shut down for the season, and then you'll hear multiple follow-up exchanges.
It was obviously disappointing. I'm a competitor. I want to play, but I wasn't medically cleared to go, and I sat down, talked to DQ and AP, and made the decision.
How do you feel physically?
I'm getting better. I mean, like I said, I didn't meet the markers to be cleared for contact and clear for this game, so now it's just focused on getting healthy and preparing for next year.
What's this season been like for you, just in general?
Frustrating, disappointing, a lot more emotions, but very much probably a lot of adversity that I've dealt with, on the field for the most part, and, just trying to learn and keep moving forward.
What have you learned about yourself during this time because of all that?
Man, I haven't really sat to reflect, but I'll say the main one is it's not easy to rehab and get back out there, especially after something so traumatic like that. So just the perseverance and really just the passion to want to, to be the best version of myself for my teammates.
Would you have done anything different? Go ahead, Ben.
Sorry, yes.
Just saying that, the rehab, how difficult it is. If you could have changed anything through the process, would you?
I mean, yeah, I would be healthy. That would be the main one. But nah, man, I just got to go with the battles, and obviously it's the story that God had written out for me, so we'll move forward and learn from it.
Dan said that you could have, in theory, gone back into that game, but then a couple days later it felt a little bit different. What felt different for you? What did re-aggravation mean as far as how you felt?
I mean, adrenaline is a hell of a drug, so that's a big one, but things change, once stuff settled down.
This is probably unfamiliar territory for you, practicing with, you're not going to play, but how engaged are you in the game plan and getting Marcus ready to go?
I mean, that's my focus, man, being the best teammate for Marcus, being the best teammate in the locker room, anything Marcus needs, to be there for him, and just how supportive and how much he's meant to me in my career. It's time to, exchange roles and do that for him.
What do you think you can learn over these next 3 weeks?
Man, I mean, just continue to get better and see the game from a different lens, ask questions, as many questions as I can.
Good stuff from Jayden Daniels there. Interesting to hear his explanation for how and why he was cleared to go back into that loss at the Vikings when that ended up being his last game of the season. He did not go back into the game, but it remains so odd that he was cleared to go back into that game and yet is not cleared to play right now. Jayden Daniels being shut down is by far the number one Commanders topic this week. Not many people breaking down how the Commanders' defensive line matches up with the Eagles' offensive line, okay? No, the Jayden Daniels shutdown is the number one Commanders topic this week. This was the most prevalent topic during the Dan Quinn pre-practice press conference on Tuesday afternoon. As I said during the opening segment of the show, Daniels and the Commanders as a team need to figure out the right balance of taking advantage of his elite running ability while lessening the contact that he takes. He cannot keep taking all of the contact that he's taking. What is happening this season, him playing in just 7 of the Commanders' 17 regular season games due to getting injured in 4 of the 7 games, is unacceptable. Nothing like this can happen again. If it does, we are in big trouble, okay? We on Tuesday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider Nikki Javala of The Athletic and Dan Quinn.
We've talked about this, but sort of finding that balance to where you protect him but not, change his mindset or his style of play.
Yep.
Do you worry about that with him? Like, how do you kind of walk that line with him?
Yeah. All the way back to when he was injured with the elbow, one of his projects that he had, even while we were, in Spain, like, how does he use this superpower of his legs and outside the pocket while also protecting the team? And so that was the biggest topic, Nikki, to go through. And we all know this when you take a big view of yourself. What do I need to do different? What can I do better? And so obviously to get injured, in a game that it wasn't on a scrambling play, but he was still injured. Like he was desperately wanting to prove that. And this is what I've saw. This is what I've developed and learned for it. And so there's plenty to work on, but we're clear about it. And so I think that's a good thing.
What's hard about that, though, is that, theorizing and hypothesizing how Jayden Daniels can avoid contact is fine, but the way that he truly gets better at avoiding contact in games is by playing in games. Practices aren't games. All 22 sessions aren't games. Conversations with coaches aren't games. This is a big part of why I was a major proponent of Daniels continuing to play this season if he was truly healthy. He needs the game experience. He needs the reps. He needs the work. There's irony here. The reason for him not to keep playing, the injury concern, actually is a reason for him to keep playing because he, as an ultra-mobile NFL quarterback, needs further development regarding how to take proper care of himself when playing. But as we know, he is done playing for this season. I'm not mad at the decision. I get the decision. If I'm mad at anything, it's the Commanders season, okay? I hate this entire season for the Commanders, especially for Jayden Daniels. This is an injury-ravaged, lost second NFL season for Daniels off his all-time great rookie season. This is a season in which he has constantly gotten hurt, opening up questions about his durability. And so it is the Commanders' QB2, Marcus Mariota, who is set to be the team's starting quarterback for each of the team's final 3 games of the season. If he does in fact start each of the Commanders' final 3 games, he will end up having started 10 of the team's 17 games in this regular season. To what extent will there be a market for Marcus Mariota, who is set to be an unrestricted free agent this coming offseason? We on Tuesday afternoon had this exchange with Dan Quinn.
We talked yesterday about Jayden's reaction to the news. How did Marcus react about the next 3 games being his? And then how do you expect Jayden's role to flip, being out there at practice, getting Marcus ready to start the next 3?
I think that's that was important for Jayden to know that, like, he felt this unconditional support from Marcus for the last 2 seasons. And so when you get to be back into that spot, like, that's a big deal. We talked a little bit about it, but we didn't spend a lot of time other than the fact that I know it's difficult when you're in, you're out, you're in, you're out. So, like, getting all the reps, getting all the game plan, that's a big deal. And our team will, they'll fight their ass off for Marcus. They love him and want to make sure, like, playing our best that we're capable of playing.
It's a funny thing. There is an argument that the Commanders should be shutting down Marcus Mariota, too. Dan Quinn, at least publicly, is framing the shutdown of Jayden Daniels as a function in large part of him not being medically cleared. But if you believe that the shutdown is more about preventing further injury for Daniels in this lost season, and that may well be the reason for the shutdown, then you also can say, hey, why not shut down other key players, like, say, receiver Terry McLaurin and left tackle Laramie Tunsil and right guard Samuel Cosmi, etc. The team's not doing that, at least not yet, but especially with Operation Lose Out 2.0 in mind, there absolutely is the case to be made that the team should be doing this, and I do consider Marcus Mariota to be a key player for the Commanders, although he is a key player who isn't under contract for next season. Mariota did a post-practice session with reporters on Tuesday afternoon. During that session, had this exchange between Commanders insider J.P. Finley of NBC4 and Mariota, and then you'll hear a follow-up back and forth between John Keim and Mariota.
Big news, Dan says you're going to go the rest of the way. What was your reaction and what were the conversations with Jayden like?
Yeah, first and foremost, I think at the end of the day, like, we got to do what's most important for the organization. And, it was exciting news for me. I know that's tough on Jay, but at the same time, we got a game here on Saturday and just get guys ready to roll.
How can you help Jayden during this process?
Well, I think it's just coming out here day after day and improving. They're building for the future, and he should feel confident in that. They're making a decision that they feel is best for the entire organization. And, at the same time, it's tough as an athlete. You want to be out there. We all understand that. We know that for Jay. So just being here for him, being out here in practice, and finding ways to just help him improve.
You've been through a situation where you've had to sit out like this, so what kind of lessons did you learn there that you can impart to him?
Yeah, really, well, it just comes down to when you're not playing, you have an opportunity to kind of see it from a different lens. And unfortunately, I think he's had a few opportunities to do that this season. And there's always things that you can kind of learn and absorb. And I think he's done a great job of just understanding that and doing his best to ask questions and see where he can learn.
All right, the Nace Law Group. Accident and injury lawyers, it will fight for you and win for you. Just recently, an $8 million jury verdict in Baltimore City Circuit Court in a case in which the Nace Law Group represented the family of a 42-year-old man who died after a simple procedure. Lead attorney Chris Nace is a big Commanders fan and a big supporter of this podcast, and his firm wins trials. If you have a case, contact the Nace Law Group. Call 202-902-7611 or visit Washington, D.C., injurylawyers.com and tell the Nace Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. The Nace Law Group is tremendous. It is a Washington, D.C.-based family law firm that handles medical malpractice, personal injury, birth injury, legal malpractice, and consumer protection cases, offering aggressive advocacy for victims in Washington, D.C. and West Virginia. The Nace Law Group fights for victims of all kinds of situations, including victims of errors made during diagnosis, during surgery, or with medication, victims of injuries caused by dangerous medications or medical devices, as well as defective auto parts, victims of accidents involving cars, trucks, bikes, or motorcycles, victims of deceptive trade practices and false advertising, heck, victims of shady lawyers. If your attorney acts in bad faith, is unethical in his or her counsel, or is negligent in his or her work, you could have a claim for legal malpractice. The Nace Law Group has represented corporate clients throughout the region. If you feel that you've been wronged, if you think that you've been wronged but aren't sure, contact the Nace Law Group and schedule a no-obligation appointment. Call 202-902-7611 or visit Washington, D.C., injurylawyers.com and tell the Nace Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. That's 202-902-7611 or Washington, D.C., injurylawyers.com and tell the Nace Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. The Nace Law Group, accident and injury lawyers. More now on the 4-10 Washington Commanders, off them on Tuesday afternoon practicing for their game against the 9-5 Philadelphia Eagles at Northwest Stadium this Saturday evening at 5. And Week 16 of the NFL's 2025 regular season, 5 Commanders offensive players were on the team's injury report for Tuesday afternoon's practice. Quarterback Jayden Daniels was a limited participant in practice, so he does continue to practice even though he's being shut down for the season due to his injured left elbow. Left tackle Laramie Tunsil did not practice, this due to an oblique injury that he suffered in the Commanders' 29-21 win at the New York Giants this past Sunday afternoon. Tight end Colson Yankoff did not practice, this due to an ankle injury that he suffered in the win at the Giants. Running back Chris Rodriguez Jr. was a full participant in practice. Good news there. He, for the win at the Giants, was inactive due to a groin injury, and offensive tackle George Fant was a full participant in practice, but he was on the injury report due to a knee issue. 6 Commanders defensive players were on the team's injury report for Tuesday afternoon's practice. Interior defensive lineman Eddie Goldman did not practice due to a concussion that he suffered in the win at the Giants. Linebacker Bobby Wagner did not practice due to rest/his knee issue. Quarterback Jonathan Jones was a full participant in practice. He, for the win at the Giants, was inactive due to a rib injury. Edge defender Drake Jackson was a full participant in practice, but he was on the injury report due to his knee and groin ailments. And interior defensive lineman Daron Payne and edge defender Von Miller did not practice, but due to rest. Meantime, the Commanders on Tuesday morning announced having placed receiver Noah Brown on the reserve/injured list, his 3rd stint on the reserve/injured list over 2 seasons with the team. We need to start calling the reserve/injured list the Noah list. Brown in the win at the Giants in his second game back from a 10-game absence off being listed as dealing with groin and knee injuries, had 1 reception for 28 yards on 1 target and playing on 16% of the Commanders' offensive snaps, but he late in the first quarter left the game due to a rib injury, and he now is done for the season, and perhaps is truly done with the Commanders. They, on August 29th, 2024, announced having signed Brown as an unrestricted free agent. This off the Houston Texans on August 27th, 2024, in their cut down to 53, having announced having released Brown. Brown, over 11 games in the 2024 regular season, had 35 receptions for 453 yards and a touchdown on 56 targets. His touchdown catch, of course, was the Hail Noah. But the Commanders on December 14th, 2024, announced having placed Brown on the reserve/injured list due to a kidney injury that he suffered in the Commanders' 42-19 win over the Tennessee Titans at Northwest Stadium on December 1st, 2024. The Commanders this past March 18th announced having re-signed Brown as an unrestricted free agent. He reportedly signed a 1-year contract. Next season will be his age 30 season. He's not a bad player. He's very good at drawing defensive pass interference penalties, but the guy just cannot stay healthy. His injury history going back to his time with the Texans is a mile long. I'd be surprised if the Commanders re-sign Brown, but even if they do, ain't no way they can plan on him as anything more than a number 4 or number 5 receiver. The mistake that Commanders general manager Adam Peters made in re-signing Noah Brown was in counting on him as the number 3 receiver. He cannot be counted on. The corresponding roster move to the Commanders placing Noah Brown back on the Noah list was them on Tuesday morning announcing having signed receiver Chris Moore from the practice squad to the active roster. As yes, Chris Moore is back for more. He is back on the Commanders' active roster. Also, the Commanders on Tuesday morning announced having signed unrestricted free agent receiver River Craycraft to the practice squad and announced having signed unrestricted free agent tight end G. Scott Jr. to the practice squad. And the Commanders on Tuesday morning announced having designated cornerback Darius Rush as practice squad injured in a move that, to me, perfectly captures the Commanders' horrendous injury luck this season. The team this past Saturday afternoon announced having elevated Darius Rush from the practice squad for this game at the Giants. He in the game did not play on any of the Commanders' defensive snaps, but did play on special teams. But he in the first half dealt with a groin ailment, and he now has been designated as practice squad injured. That's the kind of season that this has been for our team. A few notable non-Jayden Daniels items from head coach Dan Quinn's pre-practice press conference on Tuesday afternoon. We had this exchange between Commanders insider Nikki Zavala of The Athletic and Quinn.
I know you have games you're looking ahead to still, but I know you're a big note taker too. So as you've gone through the season, have you made any notes on things that you would want to do differently going into year 3?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the good part about doing it in segments. It helps. What could be different about camp? What could be different about an in-season format? What could be different about a practice? You could do it in those live moments, but now even there's some spaces, wakes you up at night and you write, okay, what about this? What about that moment? I also, lean in on a person like Zach. He was to get surgery this week. I did an hour with you on Friday, and so I wanted to pick his brain just to find, things that he has. I've learned so much through the years from players. They're the ones doing it, going through it, and so I never want to miss those moments when I can.
All right, so Dan Quinn had a conversation with tight end Zach Ertz about potential changes that Quinn should make. Would love to know what potential changes were discussed, but something that I do wonder about is the nature of training camp. And, Nikki Zavala talked about this on this podcast, episode 1205, that their at 2025 Commanders training camp was a lack of physicality. And as odd as this may sound, given the many injuries for the team this season, maybe that lack of physicality wasn't so good. But something that I do respect about Dan Quinn is that he doesn't think that he has all of the answers. He is big on self-improvement and getting input from others on how he can be better, and I'm a big fan of that. Something else that I respect about Dan Quinn is that he seems to be legitimately beloved by his players. They stand by him. They play hard for him. You know the phrase, he has lost the locker room? Dan Quinn does not lose locker rooms, and the win at the Giants was further evidence of that. We, on Tuesday afternoon, had this exchange between WTOP sports director George Wallace and Dan Quinn.
Obviously not where your season wants to be, but how does it, when you hear players talk about that, no, DQ has not lost this locker and we're still fighting, and it's all because of the culture that was established. How does that make you feel as a coach when you hear your leaders and your players still talking like that with 3 games left in a season like this?
It's a big deal. Obviously, when this is most challenged, I think, as I've been as a coach, when you go through a spot like that. And so to hear, a player say that, obviously that means a lot because you're wanting to stay in the same spot and improve upon things. And so when you're not hitting the marks and got gut punched a few times, you want to make sure that they're staying in that fight and in that battle. And so to hear them say that, that's definitely what I'd hope they would say. But to hear them say that back to you, that's a big deal to me.
Yeah, now the Commanders still have 3 games left this season, so let's see how they play before we declare that the 2025 Commanders did not quit on Dan Quinn. But I don't expect him to quit on Quinn. I'd be surprised and disappointed if they did quit on Quinn. And, it's interesting. If you look at Dan Quinn's 6 previous full seasons as an NFL head coach, so 2015 through 2019 with the Atlanta Falcons and 2024 with the Commanders, and you isolate the last 4 games of each of those regular seasons, Quinn's record over those games is 20-4. How about that? 20-4. That's outstanding, and that says a lot about Dan Quinn's team sticking with him. Regarding this game against the Eagles on Saturday evening, so if you go by DVOA for this regular season, the Eagles are number 10 in the NFL, the Commanders number 23. We on Tuesday afternoon had this back and forth between Donna Hopkins of Pro Football Plus and Dan Quinn.
Hey, Coach, meeting Philadelphia for the first time, could you talk a little bit about, that meetup?
Yes, and I thought this is a really complete team. I thought both special teams, ours and theirs, this is going to be a physical game on the team side of things. The way they can cover kicks, the way we can. I thought, that field position this game is going to be big. I thought some playmakers at all spots along the defense. Both linebackers are very good blitzers and active. They got an excellent defensive line. And I've certainly been impressed by their young corners. Where they're able to challenge and be aggressive right from the start. So those are some things defensively that I've been impressed with. Playing against us last year in the 3 games, Donna, they were exceptional at taking the ball away. I thought that was the biggest deal for us of, not giving ourselves our very best shots. I think that's going to be an important part. Then offensively, I thought, from a line standpoint, the size, the movements, the pulling, Jeff Stoutland is, one of the best there is at the offensive line spots. They've always had good tight ends. And, at the receiver spots, they get a lot of loaded box in the run game. And so the shots down the field post, the big throws to Devontae and to AJ, playmaking from that standpoint, when it's one high or something, hey, you got to go down. This running back's fantastic. Get down by the line of scrimmage. And so I think it's a good balance of what they have from the run game and the shots down the field with Jalen. So those are, I think, kind of the yin and yang of a good offense of this is where their strength is. And if you're going to overload in that one area, we're going to make you pay with these guys on the outside. They're just fantastic.
Take 3 more. And pulling a little bit from the things that you saw that you liked from the last game that you played to some things that you say we still need to clean up these areas. How do you see that?
I'll start from the latter first. I thought, number one, the penalties and, 4 fumbles, for us, man, we lost 2 of them, but those are top of them. Because I thought we moved the ball, we were able to have some sustained drives, but the turnover margin, that's continued to hurt us. And so that's why it's so important for me to make sure over these next 3 weeks, man, we are digging in on that. I liked how hard the defense played. I thought the tackling in that spot was good. I thought challenging the receivers and, being aggressive. We were talking about Antonio earlier. I'd still like to see more pass rush, more ability to affect the quarterback. So those were a couple of things that were at the front of my mind. But what I did really, I say above all of it, I liked the response. And, bad play happens, good play, a penalty, we overcame it. I think ended up maybe a 1st and 20, prior to the touchdown to Terry. And I thought those are responding. Those are ones to get defensively. We fumbled the ball at the end and got 4 stops. That's responding. And so And I also liked how all the factors, got involved in the win. The return, interception, those are big deals.
Yeah, Dan Quinn talking up complimentary football. But regarding turnover margin, which Quinn referenced there, the Commanders for this regular season are number 30 out of 32 NFL teams, minus 12. The Eagles are number 8 in the NFL, plus 4. It would be nice if we in this game against the Eagles saw key young Commanders players do well, as we did in the win at the Giants. We on Tuesday afternoon had this exchange with Dan Quinn.
Coach, I want to ask about the young players. During Sunday, you got a lot of production out of the first and second year guys, Jaylen Lane, Mike Sainer still. In these last 3 games in this last stretch, what are you really looking for them to improve on, and just how important you think will that be for them?
Yeah, we try to customize it for each of the guys, knowing that there's this part of the game, this is something that we want to, work on. And we actually call them work-ons. Like, what do you want to see and work on over these next 3 weeks to say, like, man, I got better at that spot. Some of it is in the practice spot. Some of it's if it shows up into the game to go do it. So when they have those work-ons, then we give them feedback. Where are they at? How do they go? And so we just try to keep progressing them to go. And like speaking of like Jaylen, that was a big deal. For us, we thought we'd have some chances on the return side, knowing what that was going to be. So like sometimes you try to talk it into existence, but for him, in the 20s last week, punter come to work out, like, man, he's out there catching balls, being ready. And so I think there's a humility and a confidence that comes from this young guy that he's ready for the challenges. So, for instance, that's one. And it was good to see Brandon Coleman got extended action, was, ready to be counted upon. So, yeah, there are some young guys that we're developing and counting on to be heavy hitters. And they're still learning their way and getting better. And so that's important.
And we heard Dan Quinn reference receiver and punt returner Jaylen Lane, who in the win at the Giants over 3 punt returns averaged 30.33 yards per punt return, including having a 63-yard punt return for a touchdown with 1:05 left in the second quarter. Lane for this regular season through Week 15 is number 5 among 18 qualified players in the NFL per Pro Football Reference, and yards per punt return, 14.27.
Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.
Well, the Washington Capitals have gone from having a 9-game point streak to now back-to-back bad losses. Tuesday night, a 5-0 loss at the Minnesota Wild. This off the Caps' 5-1 loss at the Winnipeg Jets. This past Saturday night, the Caps in the NHL's 2025-2026 regular season now are 18-11-4. Now, the Wild are the hottest team in the NHL, 5 consecutive wins. They just made a big trade. They this past Friday night announced having acquired defenseman Quinn Hughes from the Vancouver Canucks. But still, this was an ugly performance by the Caps. They lost 5-0 despite per natural stat trick having 65 on 5 shot attempts to the Wild's 42, including 13 5-on-5 high-danger shot attempts to the Wild's 9. But the Caps had just 25 shots on goal to the Wild's 32, a big reason for why the Wild had 21 block shots to the Caps' 8. The Caps starting goaltender was their number 2 goaltender, Charlie Lindgren. He played in a game for the first time since the Caps this past Saturday afternoon, announced having activated him from injured reserve. He had been on that since December 7th due to an upper body injury that he suffered during the Caps' morning skate on December 5th. But Lindgren, in this loss at the Wild, stopped just 27 of the 32 shots on goal that he faced. Continuing his rough season, Charlie Lindgren for this regular season, 11 games, including 10 starts, goals against average of .310 save percentage of just .887. A bad game for Caps special teams. The Caps went just 3 for 4 on the penalty kill. The Caps went 0 for 2 on the power play and gave up a short-handed goal. That came in the third period. The Caps in this regular season now have allowed 4 short-handed goals. The Caps top-line right wing Alex Ovechkin, he had no points and just 3 total shot attempts, including 0 shots on goal. Just a bad game for the Caps. So this was Caps head coach Spencer Carberry during his post-game session with reporters late night on Tuesday night. And then they'll hear a follow-up exchange between Caps insider Mike Vogel of WashingtonCaps.com and Carberry.
Look, they're playing really well. It's a really good hockey team with a ton of elite players, and their goaltenders are playing great, so they don't have a lot of holes over there on that lineup, even with the injuries that they have, which is scary to think about. But when you can roll those 5 guys out there, like those, they're as good as you get in the National Hockey League. So, I mean, for us, as we're working through that, I thought we had our looks. I thought we controlled play for a decent amount. Were we really threatening, but with a ton of high danger? No, but were they? I think it was kind of the same both ways. So I didn't mind first, second, third period, like I said, gets away from us.
Didn't seem like you guys' passing was terribly crisp tonight. There were a lot of pucks rolling off tape or in skates or ahead or behind. It seemed like that slowed you guys down a few times.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Like, we've got majority of our group right now is struggling to execute and finish. Like, you can see that for the last couple of games. It's probably been 3 or 4. Usually you go through this. I've talked about this before. It just feels like our whole group is like that right now.
All right, the Caps now are 5th in the Eastern Conference with 40 points over 33 games. Are tied for number 1 in the Eastern Conference in goal differential at +18, but a -9 goal differential over this 0-2-0 road trip. But the Caps' healthy scratches for this 5-0 loss at the Wild were forward Bogdan Trineyev and defenseman Declan Chisholm and Dylan McElrath. Next up for the Caps, home to the Toronto Maple Leafs Thursday night at 7. And that'll do it for you and me for now. Keep the feedback coming. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Thursday's show, episode 1221, will provide you with more on the Washington Commanders. Also on Thursday's show, I'll talk Georgetown basketball and Old Dominion football. We have Georgetown at Marquette Wednesday night at 8:30 in the Hoyas Big East opener for the 2025-2026 regular season. And we have Old Dominion versus South Florida in the Staff DNA Cure Bowl at Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida on Wednesday evening at 5. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and I'll talk to you on Thursday.
There's a gleam, man. There's a gleam. Let's get the gleam, all right? Let's go.
Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.